Well, good morning. It is January the 23rd, 2024, and I thought I'd spend a few minutes with you this morning. And before I do, I brought a couple of people with me to maybe take part in this video. I don't know, but hey, come on up here. People want to say hi to you. Hi, I'm Scarlett. Scarlett, could you please be quiet? Okay. And hey, come on up here. Hello, Daisy. Hello, Grandpa. Are you doing okay? Yeah. Do you mind if you guys could be in the video a little bit later? Of course. I guess so. Okay, well, you guys, girls can go play, and I'm going to talk a little bit to the other Scarlet and the other Daisy, and maybe Vesper and Merrick, too. Okay, bye. Bye bye. Okay. Do you remember a video I did, about a year ago? And I talked about you girls, and Merrick and Vesper too, if you're listening, you are like little birds in a nest. And one of the goals of the mommy bird and the daddy bird is to push you out of the nest and be on your own. So someday it's the bird's job, the parent bird's job, to push them out, and but to make sure that the little baby, little chickadees have the skills to survive, because it's a tough world out there. They have to learn how to fly, how to stay out of danger, and how to get food. When we watch squirrels and deer in our backyard, their whole day is spent in looking for food. So they have to learn how to look for food, what's safe to eat, what's not safe to eat, etc., etc. But your mother, your human mother, and your human father don't want you to just survive. They want you to thrive. One of my favorite songs is called Bloom Where You're Planted. God's going to put you someplace. God has put me in the role of being a nurse. God has put me into retirement. God put me as a highway patrolman at one time. My job was to be the best highway patrolman I could be, not just to get along, but to be the best. And I had a rough time being a highway patrolman. My job was to be the best nurse I could possibly be. My current job, and I'm struggling with this one, is to be the best, first of all, the best Christian I could be. Not just to do the bare minimum, but to thrive and to bloom. When you plant a flower, you just don't want this little tiny speck of green to come up. You want it to bloom into whatever it's supposed to be. The prettiest flower, corn, whatever it is you're growing. And I'm also supposed to be the best the best husband and the best Christian I can be, and that takes work. Before I set this video up, I worked. I thought about, what do these children need to hear? What have they heard? What haven't they heard? So I'm kind of doing a refresher course, so to speak. So you want to remember that your parents are supposed to teach you. Your job right now is to be the best students you can be, the best children you can be, the best brother you can be, the best sister you can be, so that you can learn these skills and go out and not just survive, but to thrive. And that's one reason why I asked you about your mom and your dad's creeds by which they live and how they make decisions. One of them is taking responsibility for your behaviors. For you to develop, to learn a moral compass. As a Christian, as a Bible believer, I have a certain moral compass. Have you ever heard of the verse. This is in Psalms 119. Thy word, meaning the Bible, is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. As a matter of fact, I did a video about that one time. I started out with a dark room and I turned on a flashlight. That Bible is supposed to guide me through life. That's why we have light. It's called light. Jesus Christ is called light. We're supposed to put on the armor of light so that we know what to do. Now, one of my notes is, and this has to do with Grandma's father, he'd be your great-grandpa, and his name was Walter Keller. He was a gunner in World War II. He flew on airplanes and shot at German planes that were trying to shoot them down. So it was a very dangerous job. But he liked to tell war stories. He liked to tell about different experiences that he had. And like a lot of older people, he started to get repetitive with his stories. I heard many times about how it was freezing in the airplanes and how they had to struggle to stay warm. And I heard it 3, 4, 5 times, and it got to be at the point where, boy, here we go again with the same old story. But I was polite, and I listened because my moral compass told me to show respect to him, and I listened. So, your father has told me that I'm getting repetitive, and I try not to be, but if I do, I'm asking all 4 of you to be gentle, be respectful, and just kind of quietly listen. And you're allowed to tell me, Grandpa, we've heard that before, and I'll now respect you and try not to be so repetitive. So I don't remember if I told you specifically about the acronym WWJD, which stands for What Would Jesus Do? And I changed it around a little bit, and I also included WWPD, What Would Paul Do? So, one of the things I'm going to remind you about, and I do know I told you about this, is for you to develop the skill of being inquisitive. Not nosy, but inquisitive. This desire to know things. My one grandfather, in fact, I talked to one of you today, as a matter of fact. My grandfather used to have a riding academy, and I used to get to ride horses and ponies too. And my grandfather would hook up the pony to a pony cart, and we would ride around the farm in a pony cart. Pretty cool. One of the things he said, and this is part of his moral compass, was he would look at me and he had a Polish accent. Jimmy, I am a student of life. Even as an old man, he was always a student, always being inquisitive, always wanting to know. That's one of Grandma's things. She loves to read. She's always wanting to know. So that's an important part of having a moral compass. So now here's another one. Quiet mind. What does that mean? Quiet mind. There's many different ways of looking at how a person is made up. One of my ways of looking at people is that we're made up of our mind and we're made up of our emotions. And our mind can sometimes be swamped by our emotions. Emotions are very powerful things. When you're angry, sometimes it's pretty hard to stop being angry and to be in control. So one of the things that's important to develop is a quiet mind, to not be so reactive to what another person is saying or doing. I'm going to read you something from Isaiah, and that's a prophet like Jeremiah, and I think Jeremiah is it 64 or Isaiah 64. I can't remember what you said, Scarlett. But anyhow, here's what Isaiah chapter 53, verse 7 says. He, now this is speaking of Jesus Christ, he was oppressed. That means people were persecuting him. They were spitting at him. They were slapping his face. He was oppressed and he was afflicted. Yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb before the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is dumb. So he openeth not his mouth. He had a quiet mind. Now that doesn't mean that you have to be quiet all the time. There are times when anger can be a helpful thing, when sadness can be a helpful thing. But the key is not to let your emotions control your mind, but your mind controlling your emotions. That's where patience comes in. When there's some chaos going around, because you've read the Bible, you know what the Bible says, instead of getting caught up with feelings and frustrations, you can have a quiet mind. When I was doing my work in the hospital, I worked with a lot of disruptive people. And I would come onto the unit, because that was my job. I had to learn how to have a quiet mind so that other people could react to that and quiet themselves. Again, that doesn't mean that you can't get angry or frustrated, but for you to be in control of the anger and the frustration rather than the frustration and the anger controlling your mind. So, I'm getting a little bit long here. So remember, your parents' job is for you to thrive, is to get you to thrive in the world. You want to learn how to develop a moral compass. And the best way to do that, read the Bible, study the Bible. I would encourage you to get some heroes out of the Bible. One of my heroes in the Bible is Caleb in the Old Testament during the time when the Israelites, in fact, Daisy, you like Moses, or you remember Moses, when they crossed over the Red Sea and then they had to cross over and go into the land of Canaan. Caleb had a quiet mind. He was able to accomplish great things because his mind controlled his feelings. And when he needed to be angry, he could use his anger as a tool. Pretty important. So you want to bloom where you're planted? Wherever you are, there you are. Be the best person you can be. Be inquisitive. I was thinking about Lena. When she comes over, what do you notice about her? To be inquisitive, let's use her for an example. Boy, she seems like a pretty happy person, doesn't she? She comes in, she says hi to everybody, and she's a hard worker. Grandma was impressed with how hard she works. She cleans. Be inquisitive. Hey, Lena, how come you're such a happy person? I'd like to learn from you. Tell me a little bit about yourself. What drives you? What motivates you to do such a good job? And that helps you to learn how to develop your own moral compass and to thrive. Self-awareness. I don't think we talked about self-awareness. To be aware of yourself, aware of how you come across to others, because sometimes you don't always see yourself as others see you. So sometimes I like to ask people questions. How did I come across? Grandma kind of got upset with me this morning because she said I kind of yelled at her. Instead of saying, well, I didn't yell at you, I had to be self-aware. I had to ask myself, is it true that I kind of was snippy this morning? And yeah, I was snippy. I had to take responsibility Oh yeah, yeah. That's what your dad said. I had to take responsibility for how I came across and do something that's very difficult to do. Change. Change is a very, very important thing as a Bible believer. But I'm getting kind of long here, so I'm going to stop. Glad I could talk with you this morning. And hey, Scarlett. Hey, Daisy. What do you want? I'm sorry I couldn't use you in the video. Okay. How about next time? Okay. And you, Daisy, you have a wonderful day. Okay, Grandpa. Thank you. Bye bye.